Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome back to the show. I am here today to bring us a new moon eclipse collective reading and bonus pick a card. Just to see what the energies of this new moon Taurus partial solar eclipse. I don't even know what to say. So I do have some stuff to say, but first of all, let's step out of your everyday experience and come and join me in this magical space. If you're new, welcome, settle in. If you're returning friend of the family, friend of the channel, thank you so much for always coming back and hanging out with me here, hanging out with us here. Before we go any further, I want to wrap us all in love light and light love, inviting in the guides who are overlighting this show, overlighting this episode. Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians. We've got quite a few decks we're going to be using today, and it feels very watery, I must say. So let me just jump right in. I'm going to do the collective kind of reading for everybody, pull some cards for all of us, and then at the end I'll do the pick a card for extra special bonus messages for you. We're going to be using some of my personal decks that I've created. We're going to be using one of my books as a workbook for this session. And then we've got some other decks as well. If you're interested in any of my decks, all of that juicy information is in the notes of the show. If you're interested in reading any of my books or using them as workbooks, which I have more information on that forthcoming, the links to my ebook publisher, you can read all my books, ebooks for free. That's in the show notes as well. So let's I even have to get a drink of water. Let's first start with the intuitive reading from my book, Timbre and Jameson. It's part of my Bringers of the Light series. And we're just going to flip through and let Spirit guide us to what pages we need to read from. And that kind of sets the stage for the rest of the reading. Timbre and Jameson is a book about, Timbre is I'm going to call her a starseed for now, but she is come from off planet to our planet, to Gaia, and she really didn't want to be here, and she was kind of coerced into service to Gaia. Like, she didn't really want to do anything. She wasn't really service to self. She just wanted to be left alone, basically. She'd had a lot of trauma in her life, in her incarnation, and she just was kind of fed up. And she ended up here on our planet, and the Bringers of the Light, who are, light, like a galactic / Gaia light Federation Council, kind of figured out that she was here, and they realized how powerful she was, and they kind of did trick her into service. And she works with the other Bringers of the Light from some of my other books, so Dakar and Abigail and Polly Willikers and Highcore and all of that. So if you're not familiar with that book series, it's all out there for you to read. But let's just, I'm going to just flip 2, 3, 4 down. Okay. So interesting. So I don't have it, I don't have this as a physical book right now. I just have my version of it, but I just want to show you, like, it's a wolf howling at the moon. And I was intuitively putting, they told me to put my finger down until we came to lock 20, lock 20, chapter 20, which is the lock breaks, and it's very short. So I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then we're going to pull some cards. So this is, what is this Taurus new moon solar eclipse? What kind of energies are coming in? And this stellium of stuff and all this stuff happening in Pisces right now is really almost strongly overriding some of the stuff that's happening with the Taurian energy. So there's a lot of watery energy around right now as well. So the lock breaks is the creature set her down, and in one swift movement, timbre made her most powerful sigil, moving her body in the rhythm that the sigil made when she incanted it in her mind. The sigil allowed her to do anything as long as she was touching the earth. Another sweet gift from the bringers in exchange for her services. Oh, I got chills. In exchange for her services and dedication to the planet. Well, heck, they were keeping her from leaving it after all. They had better well have paid her with some of the more powerful weapons. Wow, the sigil, I forgot what I wrote here. This sigil, we wrote this last year. We worked on this book last year together on the show, but it says, the sigil activated, she burst the lock and went up in flames. The phoenix rising in all its glory. The creature tried to fly up, clearly surprised by this move. They hadn't suspected anything, and now it felt a little undermanned. Its powers were many, but it was pretty much defenseless against a phoenix. Timbre flew down and grabbed it by the throat. Free agent, huh, you little bastard, Timbre growled into its ear. She's pretty badass. She's pretty like out there. I was only doing my master's bidding, it cried out, asking for mercy. Please don't kill me, it cooed now, hoping to woo her. Oh, shit. What just happened? Oh, freaking Mercury retrograde. I swear. Okay, Mercury retrograde is already being felt right now too, right? I'm sorry. So when I connect with Timbre, I get into like her sassy mood. But stuff was moving around on the page, and it went to the chapter called Everything is Fine. But this creature says, please don't kill me, it cooed now. Hoping to woo her, I can bring him out to you, it professed. That's what you want, isn't it? Timbre considered the creature's heavily cloaked words and decided she didn't like them. She crunched down on the jugular and dropped the creature to the ground. She shifted back and wiped the blood from her lips. She pulled the small weapon from her hip pocket, one they hadn't realized she had hidden from them. It was something small, galactic, and very damaging. They might get this bad guy alive. And then again, they might not. Dakar pinged her mentally now, but their bond not being as strong, she simply chose to ignore him for now. She knew what she wanted, and he was pretty predictable sometimes. She made her way towards the cottage at the top of the mountain. Holy crap. Okay, so we have a lot going on here. She's battling with this creature, this dark forces creature, and there's somebody that I don't remember exactly, I have to go back, but there's somebody, she had a lock put around her neck, and the lock was to keep her from shifting, because they knew how powerful, the bringers of the light knew how powerful that she was, so they put this etheric lock around her neck, and so this sigil and all this other stuff kind of broke the lock, and she was able to break the lock and have it come off, and she was able to shift and turn into a phoenix. And basically she does not have any mercy here in this chapter. And that's that's what I find about Timbre is she is a force to be reckoned with. And in this book, and I want to bring her back, but she's trying to learn to be more loving and kind. And she meets up with, her familiar that the bringers of the light gave her to work with was a hawk called Jameson. And in this book, he realizes he's in love with her. And so he renounces his hawk familiar status, and he shifts back to his humanoid male divine masculine status, and they fall in love in this book, which ends up opening up her heart space and kind of bringing her closer to who she really is as a soul, and kind of help heal some of the wounds from the past, some of the trauma that have caused her to be like so relentless. But in this case, she's dealing with dark forces, and she just feels like there's no mercy she wants to give, and so she does kill this creature. Anything else? Dakar pained her mentally now, but their bond not being as strong, she simply chose to ignore him. She knew what he wanted. He was pretty predictable sometimes. There's something there about telepathy. But I'm going to keep this up, and I'm going to first work with Pleiadian power. So this is one of my decks. Let's just see. This one has to do with what does the full moon, or what, not a full moon. What's this moon? New moon. Holy moly. All right, so we got a few cards. Let's see what we got. Oh, here we go. We want you to know how powerful you are. Pleiadian power message. So, okay, let's just set that out. And there's 2 cards coming out. And then time to care for your own needs. Rest, self-care, and reflection are called for now. So I think, like, Tamber knew how powerful she was. She knows what she can do. She knows her limits, but she doesn't know everything. This moon has us going back to like a beginner's mindset. We've talked about this on the show in previous episodes. The past couple of shows, we've worked with some different themes. And one of them is this, the weekly theme that we did last week was kind of having this beginner's mindset and being open to what you don't know because you still don't have all the answers yet. So I think that's coming in pretty strong still as a message. But it looks like there's two kind of themes, overarching themes with this moon is we want you to know how powerful you are. And because of all the activity with planets and stuff going on and all of that, stelliums and solar flares and eclipses and moonbeams, it takes a toll on the physical avatar, and the body is, oh, my camera's shaking a little bit, too bad. The body's going through a really big upgrade right now. So you've got 2 things to kind of ponder about there. Which deck? This one. Okay, the next deck I'm going to use is, I always forget the name. This one's because now I have 2 decks with the word light. This is Magic and Light. Yeah, this one is Magic and Light by Sue Lyon. So I'm going to use that one next. Let's see what else we want to know about this. This one wants to come out. Oh. 2. Okay. So let's look at these 2. The first one we got is Heart of Earth. Beautiful artwork by Sue. That piece done. And this says, Peace in Winter. I think we've gotten this before. Think of the amazing impact of contrast. We are asked to think from both places. The silver light of the moon transforms everything to thick purple shadows. Mother Earth revolves from the cacophony of a sun-drenched day to the hum of a quiet, thoughtful night. The chaos of work and the massiveness of the day's details soften with the coming of evening. Are you overcome with trying to balance everything? Bring things into order. Organize a list to make it possible to do it all. Consider this. Use your deep power of knowledge and your perfect intuition to be your guide. Ask the universe for a peaceful harmony to everything you consider important. So that's kind of like knowing knowing what you need and asking for it. And at the same time, kind of releasing control and letting, letting the universe, letting your intuition kind of guide you. And then the other card that was there was power. Since we're talking about we want you to know how powerful you are, this was sitting on the top of the deck. And so I wanted to pull this out with, this is a Pegasus. It's very cute. It says, when lightning strikes the soul, wake up and fly. Carrying thunder and lightning. When lightning strikes the soul, wake up and fly. Through every trial and test, just like Timbre, just like all of us, Pegasus grew stronger and wiser. His journey wasn't meant to be easy, well, yeah, but one that would make him confident, courageous, and agile. He needed that to be able to carry thunder and lightning for Zeus. Sometimes it takes a little lightning to jumpstart the belief in yourself and a little thunder to get you to listen. Be willing to grab onto that lightning bolt while you fly to all those places you couldn't or wouldn't go before. You will be astounded at your amazing power. So that's twice now. So this kind of goes here, I would say, in this. And that's twice now we're getting a message about how powerful that you are. And I think, why do I keep saying I think? Because this is really not coming from the thinking mind. Everything's channeled, coming through source and the guides down the crown and into my speaking words through the heart. So it's interesting. So it's almost like, I did read somewhere, someone said that part of the energies of the gates and things that are happening right now for the light body are working with the brain and rewiring the brainstem, they're saying, to receive higher levels of light and be able to actualize and intellectualize higher levels of information. So we've been talking for a few episodes now about different levels of truth here on the show. And you're only able to understand things at the level that you're vibrationally able to meet it at, so to speak. And so you could take some text that's like very high vibe, like something having to do with, they just keep saying this, so the Albion light body, because I've been reading about the Albion light body, which is like a genetic, human angelic, like genetic template for like the Christ consciousness, and part of the organic ascension process is everybody's human angelic template is kind of coming online in a higher frequency in a different way than before. And so there's a lot to read about that. And I've been looking at the energetic synthesis website and trying to like understand some of what's there. And it's written in she says, the person that writes it says, you know, this is all full disclosure, kind of like open source code. So I got big chills. So in a sense it is, because when you read it, it causes an activation for you, but you're only able to kind of understand and get activated to the level that you're ready. And so some things that you read there make perfect sense, and others I'm like, why is she writing in this gibberish that I don't understand? You wish you could just put it in plain human speak. And it's like, well, it's not necessarily in human speak. It's like in higher light being speak. And so what you don't understand, you're not ready to assimilate yet. And what makes perfect sense to you is the download and the activation that you get. And you still kind of get activated by reading some of the stuff that seems like gobbledygook once you're trying to understand it with your human mind. But that's more the stuff to like meditate on. And if it's meant for you, then the answers are going to come synchronistically and with serendipity behind them, and you're going to understand. You're going to have an inner knowing and an inner understanding of what they mean. So I've been reading a lot about solar rishi dragons and dragon ley lines and golden dragons and all of that. And so we'll see if that's, you know, an activation that I need, and then that would thus be something I could break down and communicate to you all. So working more with the angelic human light body template, what does that mean in the organic ascension process? Some of the grid work and gatekeeper inner stuff, inner teachings. These are things we might also do in workshops. So I'm being guided again to do workshops. I do have a teaching background. I spent 5 years in corporate training, creating and designing and facilitating training. And that's what I do to kind of up on the ships when I do go up at night and visit some of my galactic family. Is I'm in a teaching role, but I'm also in what you would know now to be like an IT security kind of a role, working with like like hacking and stuff, like IT security. So, those things, if they are needed to be known, or there's some sort of workshop or something because you all might need that information, then that's things we could bring. So this is going very deep. So I think my people watching this, so you're either going to be like, what in the heck is this girl talking about? Or it's going to resonate so deeply with you that you're the ones that are getting, the deeper activations from these solar codes and these light codes and all of that. So, I don't see too many readers talking about this. So I would expect that there's a new level of this type of stuff that's going to start being communicated out there to the general public, because folks like you all listening and watching this are ready for that level of information now. So you may watch some of your favorite, YouTube readers or people that I don't know who you connect with, and you may kind of be like, all right, I kind of know all that. Like I kind of already resonate with all that and I'm ready for something new. And so there are going to be those of us now whose role it is to bring in the something new, things you haven't heard before, to further activate and align you to your soul's purpose, your soul's mission, a better understanding of your genetic templating, your history. Okay, fine. It's like they're telling me, I'm like, do I bring this other thing up? And they're like, well, if you want to. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. I'm not going to bring it up yet. So I do have some new services that have kind of shown up in my reality that I sound interesting to me, that I might want to offer to you all. But sometimes I speak and then I don't do it. So I'm going to just leave that until I feel like I'm ready to roll those things out. Anyway, so that was a long thing to say that there's a lot happening right now through the organic ascension process. Much more things to learn and understand. And before I just keep moving on, let me go ahead and draw. This is Mermaid Tarot by Dame Darcy. And let's see, this is a big deck. I love the card stock on this deck. All right, we got one card. What did we get? Queen of Swords. There's the water energy to the tears. So I find this card very interesting because it's Queen of Swords. So it's like we were talking about the brain and the mental energy and all that, but she's crying and there's like tears coming down. And there's a lot, this little illustration or whatever is kind of what it was talking about with the brain being upgraded. It looks very galactic, and it looks very high vibe. So again, the mental body, and it's going to bring up, the other thing it's going to bring up, I know why we're putting this at the center, because it's kind of in between how powerful you are and you need to care for your own needs. So obviously, like if the first level of truth or whatever we want to share with this is like, yeah, there's a lot of emotions, stuff going on right now, stuff to release as part of the eclipse coming through. And she looks very she looks very King Arthur to me. And that's another thing that was coming up as part of the research that I was doing on the Albion light body and the Archangel Michael ley lines and grid points, was this King Arthur line, which is not different levels of truth too. It's like King Arthur's not just a story, it's a whole ascension upgrade timeline, and storyline that, if you resonate with it, has different levels of awakening for you within that as well. So I love working with the King Arthur timeline, even as it was the story, like when I was a little girl, I loved reading that. But it looks like there's more to learn and more information be coming in with this eclipse to light those parts of your brain up to help you understand more fully what's happening with like the Grail line and the Grail Kings and all of that. Oh my gosh, this is just such a deep reading. So this eclipse is bringing a lot of enlightenment to the mind, to the mental body, and to the brain functioning to be able to understand higher light concepts. And when I come to understand them, then I will bring them to you as well. All right, let's go ahead and pull from, this is a little deck. I don't offer it anymore, but it's called You Are Loved. Let's see what this has. Okay. This card is called Mission Manager. It's kind of like the same thing here. This card has different meanings, but this is like a lot of light codes coming in, a lot of harmonic musical notes, higher light being, what I always call higher light being tones, frequencies, and vibrations coming through as part of this eclipse portal. And kind of you, this bringer of the light, this light warrior, like these things are going to be coming down and enveloping you, and you're going to be basically turned on to a new level of, it just keeps going back to the mind, a new level of understanding some things and how they relate to your journey. So not just like reading or researching or hearing it, but you'll come to a new understanding of like, why is this even important to me? Because a lot of times when I read some of the ascension upgrades and ascension stuff that's out there on the internet, I'm like, okay, and a lot of people do channel in, and I have channeled in the past, and I stopped doing it for a while because I'm like, okay, like the real world person that's listening to this, like what do they need to know about this information? Because it's so heavily encoded, and it's meant for certain people to upgrade you and to activate you. But it's almost like reading a Dr. Seuss book. It's like, help me in layman's terms, like understand what this means. And those are things they said that are better left to be taught kind of behind closed doors. And so I have been guided, again, I keep saying, having me saying this twice now, to doing some workshops that are events where you can come and I can share more deeply in a closed setting, because if you're called to come and attend the workshop, then it's meant for you. The activations or whatever is being shared is meant for you for whatever reason, for your purpose or your mission. And so those things, they're saying, are more like inner teachings, and they don't necessarily get shared with the general public. Number one, because it doesn't apply to everyone and they just won't get it, and they'll be like, what is this girl talking about? And number two, yeah, it's just not meant for everyone. So those are like this is like, consider that like your inner mystery school stuff. All right, and then the last deck I'm going to draw from before we go to because the messages are getting somewhat repetitive, before we go to the pick a card, is from my hand-drawn deck, Labyrinth of Dragonshire. Okay, and we got the one that came out, looks like this. All the little drawings, they're kind of have stuff going on. It almost looks to me, it's supposed to be an H, because every card in the deck spells out, each one spells out Labyrinth of Dragonshire in its totality. But whenever I see this, it either is like a portal gate to walk through, but more so, what is that? Like a horse jump, like a thing that the horses jump over? I don't know what it's called. But the, oh yeah, it's a gate. So the card is 22 and it's boundaries, boundaries, boundaries with 3 stars. And what I want to say there is this. Yes, okay, they're telling me I'm on the right, but what I want to share is what needs to be said. So with these energies happening right now, and they're just going to keep happening, right? It's like, it's another gate, another portal, then it's going to be 5-5, and it's going to be, you know, something else coming up. And so it's just going to keep going. And the more you get activated, the more you become a channel or a conduit for also, you know, you become a conduit, and then you start, you know, getting pinged by star beings and star family and other people with similar agendas. That's interesting. You start getting pinged by other people with similar agendas. Angelic world, everybody's got their own agenda, especially in the light world and the dark world. We're kind of going into, we've been working with my book Powerball as a workbook in the 777 series that's going on right now on the show. And there's a playlist for that in YouTube and in Spotify if you're interested in that. But I don't know exactly all it's about yet. It's kind of still a work in progress, but it has to do with like the dark agendas and the light agendas. But it's bringing that information forth in a way that's not so scary to some of you who aren't ready for that yet. But everybody's got an agenda, and I wasn't ready for it at one point either. It just totally like put me in a tailspin when I started learning more. And now I've kind of worked up enough boundaries around stuff like that to where it doesn't bother me as much, because I have very strong boundaries. So I know what to let in and I know what to not let in. I know the level of what I can, you know, understand and assimilate that's comfortable for me. And so that's how my guides present it to me. But it goes back to messages we've shared on the show before. It's like, just because you're a conduit, just because you're a channel, just because your spiritual gifts and your intuition and your knowing and your claircognizance and all of that is very strong and getting stronger, because you will, yes, getting stronger for many of you does not mean that you're just this open book sitting out there, that you're just this radio tower that takes everything in and gets overwhelmed and ends up short-circuiting, which also goes back to mission manager. It's like, just because there's all this stuff floating around for you does not mean you have to take it in, you have to assimilate it, you have to learn it, you have to run with it. Some of it's meant for you, some of it's not. I'll give the example of this morning. I'm walking my dog, and right where I walk, the park that I walk my dog in, there's all these Indian burial grounds. It's very sacred space. I'm sure it got a lot of history. I'm sure the spirits there have a lot to teach me. But just because I live, it's like poltergeist, just because I live on an Indian burial ground does not mean that I constantly walk through and bring in all these messages from all of these spirit souls. So I had a friend one time, and she don't connect with her anymore. She's a very gifted psychic, but she told me this story one time about, you know, I was traveling and I was driving through this land down in, I think it was New Mexico, and like 300 spirits came through. Oh, and a hawk just flew by. Yes. And 300 spirits came through and wanted me to help them cross over. And I was like, and I spent my whole drive like helping Native American spirits like cross over to the other side. And I'm like, well, that's nice. But then she's like, God, I'm so exhausted. It was so overwhelming. And I'm like, okay, this is where the boundaries come in. Just because you're a medium, just because you're a channel, like, you control the level that you are comfortable with. Even if the bringers of the light agenda is for you to be a light warrior, a grid keeper, a gatekeeper, a psychic, a Reiki master, whatever, you control what you are comfortable with. And so I don't walk through this park and be like, everybody that still hasn't crossed over, like, come see me, because they will come towards you. But if your boundaries are up and you're like, okay, that shop's not open right now, the TAMI helping the mediumship shop isn't open right now, then they have to respect that. And they have to, if I feel like doing some work with the land and helping, then I will go into sacred space myself. I will create the portal, and I will then call those in that need to be, or want to work with me and need help with that. So you're not, just because, and this is part of the empath thing. It's like, okay, just because you're sensitive does not mean you don't put up boundaries, does not mean that you are the soul in a physical avatar. You are not the one, you're not this open door. It's fun. Yeah, sure, it's fun. Right, it's fun. I can channel, I can do all this stuff. But they just keep saying you control the level that you're comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable with 300 freaking souls showing up and saying, we need help crossing over, then you have to put your foot down and be like, okay, maybe one or two, maybe I can help you. Maybe I can help you later because, right, it's timeless in the energy worlds. But you have control over all of that. And I think that's one of the biggest learnings. And the biggest thing I learned in opening up to all of my psychic gifts was, I've been there and I've done that. I didn't help 300 souls, but, I was like, approached by different types of energies at different times in my life for different lessons that I had to learn. And if I had just known that all I had to say, I think somebody else said this too, if I just know that all I had to say was like, go away, I'm not going to help you right now. Or, some people invoke, in the name of Jesus Christ, or go away. Like if all I knew was like to have that boundary to say that, and they have to honor that, I would have saved myself a lot of trial and tribulation. But because part of my role is to help you all with similar things that come up for you, then I had to go through all those things myself. But it's all just to say that you do have control over what you allow in and what you don't. That is up to you and you alone. That's your free will choice. That's part of your sovereignty. And that's part of, be grateful for that free will choice and that ability to choose and to say no when you mean no and yes when you mean yes. All right, so I'm going to end this part of the reading here, and I'm going to come back with the pick a card. So we will have timestamps for the pick a card here. And let's see what other bonus messages you need to know about. Hello, pile one. Let's see what bonus messages we have for you for this eclipse new moon. It was a pretty intense deep reading already, but if you chose pile one, drawing from Pleiadian power, flew out on the floor. Oh, okay. Oh, and it got all crinkled. Don't crinkle my card. We got child's play. Close your eyes, he said, covering her heart-shaped sunglasses with his hands. You count and I'll hide. So even though and it does have the beach energy, so it goes back to all the watery energy that we were talking about in the general reading. But this always makes me think of Abigail and Dakar. They like to play naked hide and seek in the woods. And this just reminds me of him like telling her that. But maybe they're on the beach this time. So still a lot of watery energy coming through for you. And that could play out in different ways. So you're being very affected by this Pisces stellium of planets and points getting activated. Let's see what else we've got. So you got a double message because you got the power card again. So this was part of the collective reading. If you didn't watch that, you can go back and watch that. But this is like knowing how powerful you are. So that message is coming through again for you. Like you really need to hear that confirmation. And then you got cycles of seasons. And this card says, 5 elements. The might of cycles is empowering. Since we march to time here on earth, we have the pleasure of change. But as the seasons change, the elements remain solid and true. Fire feeds our passion for life. Air builds our knowledge of how things work. Water seeks a place of intuition and rest. And earth keeps us grounded. Add to that metal and the keys to the mysteries of spirit. Today, as you move through your time-filled day, bring a conscious involvement into the elements of your life. Seek out balance, create movement, carve out magical moments that will feed you later, and be reminded that the cycles of the seasons and the power of the elements are constant, consistent friends. And the note says, notice spring and summer, or spring and earth, summer and air, fall and fire, and winter and water. The keys are the 5th element, metal. Sounds very alchemical. And let's just draw, what do I want with this? I want water, since we're bringing in a lot of watery energy. So let's just pull a tarot card. Oh, and you got more water. You got the Chariot in reverse, which I read reversals as kind of the thing that's the most important part of the message. So things are moving forward at a very rapid speed. You may almost feel like things are out of your control, and in a sense they kind of are. It's kind of up to the cycles and rhythms, the cycles of change, things happening for a certain reason that maybe you didn't have all the answers yet, but things are going to move forward. Answers are going to come. Stay in your power. Don't allow yourself to be pulled out of your peace. Take some time out for yourself, some rest and renewal time, especially around water. It's very activating. And maybe look into some elements that you don't typically work with. So I'm a big water person. Water is like my totem element, I would say. And I'm not really so good at working with fire. Like, I can work with it etherically, but if I think about working with fire, like I wanted to make a Beltane fire in my backyard because we have a fire pit, and I was like, oh, I don't know about the wood and the starting the fire, and I have just seen people very, very comfortable with that, who are just fire gatherers and fire keepers. And so maybe, you know, get out of your comfort zone a little bit and try working with an element that you're not so experienced with, just to kind of break up the monotony of your day. So if you get, because this card, which one was talking about time? This card was talking about time. You may get a little like, there's things you have to tend to in the 3D world, and so you may get bogged down in like earth-based time, having to work on things. And so to keep that balance within yourself of staying, you know, 1 foot in the spirit world, or however, 1 foot in the energy world and 1 foot in the 3D world, you know, work some magic of your own. Remember who you are. Have some fun with maybe working with the elements. Work some spells. Break up your day if you can, to where you're spending time on some of the stuff that's, to me, I don't want to have to deal with as much anymore, like the 3D world stuff, and allow yourself some time to play in the multidimensionality of who you are, and with the magic and on the mystery of what's all around you in the energy world. So that is what I have for you, pile 1. Thank you so much for joining me. And if I don't see you in another pile, then take care. We will see you again soon in the next episode. Hello, pile 2. Hello, pile 2. Let's see what special messages we have for you after our intense collective reading. I'll just take a drink here. And I'm going to pull from Pleiadian Power. You got 2 cards. You got take a deep breath. Now go outside and enjoy the natural world. Meditation walk and green healing. So getting by water, which was a similar message to pile 1, but not exactly the same. And then pile 2. Pile 2, yes, you're pile 2. Your second card is hope. When you have hope, anything is possible. So let's draw some clarifiers. Where do I want to go? For that, I want to go to my Labyrinth of Dragonshire deck. And you got 2 cards. So you're getting 2 cards. You got 2 more cards. So 2, 2, 2. Oh, interesting. So pile 1 got a card that had come out in the collective reading. You're getting a card that has come out in the collective reading. You got the boundaries card though. And with that, you also got the death card. Look, another 2. 2. Oh, look. 2, 2, 2. Boundaries, and today is a good day to die. And so your guides are kind of trying to be cheeky. It's this space HA. A little cheeky with you with their messages because you've been feeling a little down. So she's very blue. And when I drew her, she's not blue. I put some filter on this and it ended up looking like this, but she's very blue. And there's this big sunshine behind her. And this is actually the angel of hope. And I think you just need an extra little pick-me-up. And again, to not take things so seriously, which is kind of this overarching message right now. But let's pull a few more cards for you. Yeah, Chaos Queen came out. So this is like the Tower card. And there's a dolphin though, so more water energy. But dolphins are playful. So things are going on in your world right now to kind of shake stuff up for you. And it feels like to you, like your wishes aren't manifesting, like things aren't coming true. And so it's kind of brought your spirits down a little bit. And it kind of has you like second guessing. This message has come up before, but it has you second guessing like your wishes and your dreams. Like maybe I'll just toss it all to the wind and move on and do something different. And so your guides are saying like, stand tall and stand proud and stand your ground and just hold, stay the course and hold on. So let me just draw you one more. Let's see if I got one more for you. Yes, and you got the same card. You got the same card as pile 1, cycles and seasons, but this message is a little different than pile 1's message. This message is more like everything happens in cycles, and this is cycles of seasons, but I'm reading it as cycles and seasons, and so everything has its cycle, everything has its season, everything has its moment, everything has a reason. Oh my God, they have me rhyming. And right now, you are in this big initiation, this big trust initiation, and you can't pass go. You can't kind of like, what is it? Like you can't sidestep it. This lesson that you're learning cannot be bypassed. You're gonna have to walk through it, not around it. You can't, why do they always give me the Monopoly reference? Like, don't pass go, don't collect $200, go. You can't like bypass this situation. You have to work through it yourself. And so don't, with the boundaries card, it's like for you, don't give your power away. Don't, and I don't like using the word don't so much, but it's like, try not to give your power, because don't sounds like I'm your mom telling you what to do. And when I read that, it has a weird connotation for me. But try not to come out of your power and try to get outside as much as possible, because that's where all these light codes are going to come through. And that's where your guides have the easiest way of reaching you, because I feel like when you get down, you kind of or one to like go in your room and slam the door and, you know, bury your head in your tablet or something and just surf the internet. And it's like, well, that is all fine and good and fun for a moment, but the artificial light and because you're an empath, you're just soaking up all the other, you're drawn to like not so high vibe stuff when you're in that state of mind. And so then you're soaking up even more of a lower frequency. And you've got to clear that in order to stay high vibe, in order to stay in the hope vibe, and in order to realize like things aren't against you, they're happening for you. And these are just strong lessons that your soul signed up to learn in this lifetime. And you're just going to have to be brave, put on your brave face, and just work your way through it. And just like the wheel turns down and things sometimes go, you know, in what would seem like a negative way. It's not always negative, like the lessons are blessings or whatever. You know, the wheel will turn again and you'll be back on kind of the higher side of life. So you are just working your way through a downward turn in the wheel, and it's just where your soul's at right now. You're not you're not off your path. Everything is happening for you. Your guides are strongly with you, but they can't get through to you because you're not letting them in. And so, you know, let them know that you're still interested in their help if you are, because they can't help you unless you ask. And then try to get up out of your doldrums a little bit more, get outside in whatever the weather might be, and get an energy clearing, they're saying. So however that works for you, if you have to see a YouTube video, or if you go see an energy work practitioner, if you come see me and I can help you do that, all my services are listed on my website, then, you know, that's what you need to do to kind of get yourself not back on track, because you're on the right track, but to get your energy level and your vibration back up again. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for joining me, Pile 2, and we will see you all again soon. Take care. Hello, Pile 3 and my wobbly camera. Thank you for joining me. We're going to see what extra messages are coming through for you. Pick up with Pleiadian power. So we've had repeating messages in the other two piles of things that came out in the general reading. So let's see what card you got. You got Butterfly Fairy spreads love and joy through the solar plexus. Let's build on that a little bit because, okay. This card usually comes up when there's anticipation or excitement around something. Even if you can't see what it is yet, you may be feeling like this feeling in your solar plexus or your stomach area that feels like, you know, butterflies flitting around and you don't know why. And so let's see, I just intuitively picked this deck and started shuffling. So let's see what's coming out for you there on this deck. Okay, yes. So you got the Archangel Michael card. This is direction. It says, standing on the edge of light. It's so easy to put aside those things that seem to be hard. We dance around real issues with the hope they will go away. But it's time to take up the sword of determination and the shield of commitment and jump into the battle of happiness. Stand on the edge of light. Balance your life on the power of self-actualization. Breathe in the light that keeps your heart sound and healthy, and leap over the chasm of doubt that is just an illusion. Now is the time to find your voice and believe the new words that are coming through your heart. Archangel Michael will show you the way. You are always protected. One of my favorite cards. So it looks like some new opportunities are going to be showing up for you with this new moon, with this eclipse energy. So you may already be sensing a little bit what they are. You may not have all the answers yet, but you may feel like it's coming. And it does have to do with part of your soul purpose, which is when our Archangel Michael always comes out when we're working with soul mission and soul purpose stuff. But let's just see what else the cards have to say. Yes, because you got the World Traveler card, which is like the world card. So you're coming to the end of one cycle and starting a new one. And Star Child is like the star card in the Major Arcana. So this is like a wishes coming true card. So I think that's kind of like your soul knows the way. Your soul knows that there's these big changes coming up, that wishes are going to be granted soon. And so because your soul knows, it kind of trickles down a little bit, and your body is kind of getting excited in anticipation of what's to come, but you still don't have all the answers yet. So you're kind of like a little, like, they're saying you're a little miffed, like, what's happening? Why am I feeling anxiety? You think it's anxiety, like, why am I feeling anxiety? And you maybe even feel like you're picking up something from the collective that, you know, like, oh, I'm just, you know, my shields are down or whatever, and I'm picking up something. And they're like, no, this is because your soul knows that something exciting is about to take place. The wheel's about to turn, wishes are going to be granted. And so it's coming out in your physical body, this feeling of, anxiety or excitement or whatever. Now, there's still a balance to that needs to be had, right? So let's just because things are turning, the wheel's turning and stuff's happening, that's the wheel's turning for you to the better. So there was another pile where the wheel was kind of had a little bit of a downturn. It was kind of like going through a little mini dark night of the soul. But this one is more like the wheel's turning for the better, but that doesn't mean you don't have boundaries around that. So let me just draw a card from Labyrinth of Dragonshire to expand on what I'm talking about. Oh, that card's wanting to come out. Maybe you're in the Southern Hemisphere, because we got the Samhain card. It's the first card. We got two cards. Got the Samhain card, which is Spirit, Soul Work, Ghost Return, Rise, Spirits Rise, Ancestors, Boo. And then we got the F card, Fire, Desire, Passion, Burn, Sacral, No Pain, No Gain. Let's put them like this. So this is more career related, more soul purpose related. We already said that. In the general reading, we started talking about people opening up to new gifts, new abilities. And if you didn't hear the general reading, you should go back and listen to it. But we started talking about having healthy boundaries around stuff that comes to us from the energy world, even if it is an exciting change, like, you know, ghosts, so mediumship coming through, soul work wanting to be done. So you may be like, oh, I'm interested in mediumship. I'm interested in, so this fire, desire, passion, like some of your passions at the soul level for your soul mission and your soul purpose are starting to come through, and you're getting really excited about it, and you've got some choices to make, and maybe you've got more than one thing you're interested in, and all of that is going to be presented to you very soon in terms of the choice point, like the two roads and which one are you going to take. Like that decision making is coming very soon, because there'll be more clarity towards the middle of the month around what those choice points actually are. And then because you've had some time to mull it over for however long it takes for you to do that, you'll be able to make an informed decision and a better decision for you about what feels best in your heart space. What you really want to do, because just because Archangel Michael, this goes back to the boundaries, just because Archangel Michael shows up and says, well, this is part of your soul mission and your soul purpose, if you don't resonate with that, or if you don't feel it in your heart, or maybe you liked it before, like sometimes the manifestations come up and we forgot that we made them. We forgot we made those intentions. So maybe so many years ago you were like, oh, I really want to do mediumship, but it's not the time. And now it's presenting itself again, and you're kind of like, and Archangel Michael here showing up going, well, that's part of your soul purpose. But if you no longer resonate with that, then you don't have to choose that. You could be like, no, I'd rather go be a Reiki master, or I'd rather be a shamanic practitioner, or a starseed counselor, they're saying. So that's an interesting one. So just, you are the ultimate decision maker in your soul's path. And even when things have been predestined, like some predestined things are just predestined to happen. Certain major turning points in your life are going to happen, whether you, not that you don't want them to, but they show up for you because they're supposed to show up for you. But there's other things that you do have a say in and kind of control over. And some of them are like the things the soul work you're going to do in the world. All these things are coming to you because like you've done them before in past lives, past incarnations. You know, you had these gifts and they are showing up again for you now. But it's up to you to kind of mold them and retrofit them and work them to what works best for you now in this lifetime. So just be aware that those things are coming up. They may be bringing a little like anticipatory energy around what they are. How's that going to work out? What's that going to mean for me moving forward? And all of that for you to sit with. But ultimately, like you have the power or the decision-making sovereignty to choose what you go with and what you don't. And what resonates with you. And the last card we got for you, and it's reversed, which I read reversals as, you know, the key of this reading, the exclamation point or the thing that's most important. And you got the 7 of Cups. And so you don't have all the answers yet because in this card, the 7th cup is hidden, but you've got a lot of options being presented to you. I think they all feel good in your emotional body because it's represented by water. A lot of water here, since she's a mer lady, mer woman. And this is going. And so you're just asked to take your time. You don't have to rush into anything yet. Just see what feels right for you. As things start coming to you, start jotting them down. Just make a list. And you can do your own type of decision-making process, whether you meditate on each one, or you do some sort of pros and cons list, or you bring in your guides and just ask your guides to help you. Like they're not going to decide for you, but maybe they could show you the different paths. So you could sit and do a meditation or a drum journey and say, okay, if I go down path A, what is that going to look like? If I go down path B, kind of what is that going to look like? And then let you make an informed decision of what feels right for you. So that's coming. It's really exciting for you. A lot of good changes coming up, and it's well deserved. You've earned these upgrades, they're saying. So just, have that attitude of gratitude about what's to come. And ultimately, it's all going to work out in your favor because you have the final say on what you're going to be doing. So that is all we have for you, friends. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you all again soon. Take care.